A senior leader of the Palestinian resistance movement, Hamas, has condemned talks in France focusing on negotiations with Israel. Ismail Haniyeh said Friday's talks in Paris disregard the Palestinians' rights, particularly the right of refugees to return to their land. Israel also said the international meeting will hamper the resumption of peace talks. The reactions come as representatives from 28 countries met in Paris to discuss ways to lay the foundations for a peace conference later this year. Palestine and Israel were not invited to the meeting. Direct negotiations between the Israeli side and the Palestinian Authority collapsed back in 2014 over Israel's non-stop settlement expansion in the occupied territories. Now we're joined by Max Igan on the subject. Mr. Igan, it's good to have you with us. He's a radio host speaking to us and indeed a political commentator. Now, in your opinion, Max, to what extent do you think these negotiations, which have been, by the way, boycotted by both parties, that is the Israelis as well as the Palestinians, are going to be fruitful? And what kind of a fruit are we going to be looking at?
None of the peace talks that we've seen have ever been fruitful. Israel does everything it can to undermine the peace process. You know, you can't really be conducting peace talks with a country while you are conducting an illegal settlement program and bulldozing homes and arresting people left, right and centre. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Israel does everything it can to stretch the process out. I mean, they're very good at it. They've had a lot of practice. They've been doing it for 68 years now and making sure there will be no peace with the Palestinians. I mean, it's all theatre. Israel does this all the time. You can't expect any international peace talks to work until there is some sort of international pressure brought on Israel. And, you know, Israel, like I said, they've had a lot of practice at this, and they've basically manoeuvred themselves into a position where they're just basically above the law, and they know they are, and they know they can get away with whatever they want because of the amount of control they exert over the United Nations and over all the other countries. So we're not going to see any fruit from it at all, not until there's international pressure applied to this state.
So what I gather from your remarks is that despite the fact that the Israeli side has vehemently and officially rejected these peace talks, supposed peace talks in Paris, because of the close ties between the Western allies of Israel, including France and indeed America, there must be some sort of a coordination between the two.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you've got to see that US foreign policy is completely controlled by Israel. The Israeli lobby is extremely powerful in the United States. I mean, politicians have to sign the AIPAC treaty and even to get funding to run for office in the United States. So basically, it's just a big military machine that is run completely by Israel, which is why Israel gets so much arms from them and so much support from this country to the tune of like billions of dollars a year of aid that it gets from the United States. And the United States vetoes any decision which goes against Israel all the time. And any peace process that they have, any time there's any type of international intervention and there's any type of meeting to try to achieve peace with the Palestinians, Israel says it's going to undermine the resumption of peace talks that they're due to hold at home. It always uses this excuse. But again, how can it be holding peace talks with the Palestinians while it's kidnapping their children and bulldozing their homes? It's completely ridiculous. So, you know, we are seeing a huge amount of control in US foreign policy by the state of Israel, and we're not going to see any change until that is addressed, you know.
Max, for the sake of our viewership, how about amplifying on the specific demands as being discussed and negotiated by both sides, as Israelis and Palestinians, and these peace talks? And I want to ask you, why do you think these peace talks have been taking on so many years and to get here where we are, and that is basically nowhere?
Well, because of the outline that Israel always puts there. I mean, Palestine never really gets a say. That the peace talks are usually negotiated by other people, and it's Israel putting its cards on the table and saying you have to abide by our rules or nothing's going to work. And there's never any dignity allowed for the Palestinian people. It's always about Israeli expansion, and it's always about no rights for the Palestinian people. So you're never going to get anywhere until these people are allowed to live a life of dignity and been given the respect that normal people should be allowed to have all around the world. I mean, the Palestinian people are treated worse than dogs by the state of Israel, and there's never any allowance for the needs of the Palestinian people in these so-called peace talks. And that's why they've never gotten anywhere for 68 years, because Israel simply will not allow it. It will not allow anything that is going to grant any type of autonomy or dignity to the Palestinian people. It just wants the whole state gone, and you can see by its actions, it's been encroaching and stealing land for years upon years, and this is just its policy. And all of these peace talks is just theatre.